everyone, happy Saturday and welcome back to my channel. So you may have thought, since it had been a few weeks since I had talked much about our wedding, that we were done with wedding planning content. And while we are getting close, there are still a couple more videos coming your way related to all things wedding. This week, I'm gonna be breaking down what our wedding planning process looked like from start to finish. To preface this, let me start by saying I am very much the classic trope of a little girl who has dreamed about and planned her wedding from a very young age. That is 100% me. I went into this with a pretty clear vision of what I wanted and what I didn't want, and that was really great to fall back on. And thankfully, Adam was also that kind of groom. While he may or may not have been dreaming of this day since he was a little boy, he had very real opinions on what he wanted and was a very involved groom in every step of the process, which I'm so thankful for. He played a crucial role in planning our wedding, which I know is not the case for a lot of grooms, but I'm really thankful that he was so involved in our wedding and the planning process. And the two of us had a very open dialogue about our wedding for pretty much our whole relationship, so there really weren't surprises when it came to what we wanted, the type of wedding that we wanted, things like that, which made it all the easier when it came time to actually sit down and hammer some of these details down, so that was great. And that brings us to the night we got engaged. So I had it in my head for a long time that the day we got engaged, I would sit down and comb through my Pinterest board and delete anything that was like outdated or no longer served the vision that I had at that point. However, when it came time to actually do that, the night that we got engaged, after we had told all our friends and family and kind of celebrated, and I settled in and started going through, I realized I was very attached to this Pinterest board because I had put so much effort into it over so many years. So I decided instead to make a separate Pinterest board specifically for our actual wedding that was actually going to happen, as opposed to just all my wedding ideas over the years. So I made a second Pinterest board, and instead of deleting pins from the original, I just repinned anything that fit my current vision for our wedding. We had known for quite a while that we probably wanted a Tangled themed wedding, and we solidified that 100% the week that we got engaged. So we knew we wanted a loosely Tangled inspired wedding, and that was what we were gonna draw like our color palette and kind of overall vibe for the wedding from. The week that we got engaged, we also took the time to start downloading some wedding planning apps. So we downloaded Wedding Wire and The Knot to start contacting potential vendors. We pretty quickly decided that we liked Wedding Wire best. The Knot looks better, like aesthetically, it's a much more modern looking app, but Wedding Wire allowed Adam and I to have separate accounts that were tethered together to our wedding, where The Knot, it would have required us to share an account in order to see the wedding planning progress. So we really liked that feature of Wedding Wire and decided to use that as our primary app for the rest of our wedding planning process. The week we got engaged, we also started hammering out some of the important qualifying details when it comes to planning a wedding. So the date, the potential location, and the time of day that we wanted to get married. There was not a doubt in our mind we wanted an evening wedding. That was not something we were willing to compromise on. So we knew we wanted around a 5 o'clock wedding that led into, a late night reception. We were torn between 2 months of the year to get married. So we had talked for a long time that it would be really cool to get married on October 1st, because that was Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, and being huge Disney fans, we were like, it would be so awesome to share an anniversary. However, October is hurricane season in Florida, and I was a little apprehensive about planning a wedding during hurricane season, so October stressed me out quite a bit. The other option we talked about was March. March is absolutely beautiful in Florida. The weather is top tier. It's usually pretty cool, at least in the evenings, even though it gets pretty warm in the daytime. It's usually sunny skies. It's not one of our rainier months. I also really wanted to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, and I knew if we were getting married that day, I obviously wasn't going to be able to go to Magic Kingdom and celebrate. So that also kind of made us want to get married in March. But the more that we mulled it over and talked about it, we decided that October 1st was absolutely the date we wanted to go with. We started looking through potential venues and narrowed it down to the Hyatt Regency that's near Disney property, the Wyndham Grand Orlando Bonnet Creek, which, spoiler alert, is where we got married, Disney Fairy Tale Weddings, and the Four Seasons that's like also on Disney property. We booked tours for the Wyndham and the Hyatt for the following week after we got engaged, and Adam's mom and sister and brother made plans to come up and tour the venues with us. I also contacted Disney to try and schedule a tour as well while his family was in town, and Disney informed me that they were not doing any in-person tours because of COVID, and it would be 3 weeks before I could even speak to a wedding planner with Disney Fairy Tale Weddings. So I scheduled a call with them so we could see what that would look like, and we just moved forward with the 2 venues that we were able to schedule in-person tours with. The first venue we toured was the Hyatt Regency. I really loved this venue and was pretty sold on it. The thing that sold me the most was that our ceremony space was this gorgeous outdoor location with this huge tree as the focal point, and then they had lanterns installed on the tree branches that would light up for our ceremony, and obviously that fit our Tangled theme so perfectly, and I was in love with it. It was beautiful. The reception space was also gorgeous. It was like floor-to-ceiling windows, and then there was like a pond or like a fountain of some sort that surrounded the venue because it was like upstairs. So the windows all looked out over water, and at night she said that the water would be like lit up as well. And then there were beautiful chandeliers. Like, it was a gorgeous space. I was sold on this location if Disney didn't work out because I loved the ceremony space so much, and I knew I wanted an outdoor ceremony. But we continued on with our tour at the Wyndham because it was already scheduled. As much as I adored our wedding and truly love Wyndham Grand Orlando Bonnet Creek, can't say enough good things about it, and would absolutely get married there again, it didn't come without its drawbacks, so I'll start with those. I really wanted an outdoor ceremony. However, the only outdoor space that was available at the Bonnet Creek was next to their pool. They did promise us that the pool would be closed for the ceremony and that they would get rid of all the pool furniture so that it wouldn't be in photos, but it was still gonna be next to a pool. That was a little too Floridian for me. Like, I do not need to get married next to a pool. No shade if that's something that's for you, but it was not for me, and it was not for Adam. And that meant we were gonna have to have an indoor ceremony if we chose this location. I cannot picture having our wedding anyplace else looking back. I'm so happy that we chose this venue. Francesca, the catering manager at this venue, went above and beyond for us from day one. She was in our corner and did everything she could to make this wedding perfect, and I could never say thank you enough to her. She was phenomenal. While I don't love the space that we had for our ceremony and do wish we could have had an outdoor ceremony, in the end, it is such a small fraction of that day. We were in there for like 20 minutes. We didn't have to worry about inclement weather because we were already inside. And Punzi was in our wedding, and I think having it at an indoor location was probably also better for that factor because she wasn't distracted by any external, noises or birds flying by or squirrels running around or whatever. So honestly, I do think it worked out that we chose an indoor ceremony location, and it was such a small fraction of the day that it's not enough to make me regret choosing this as our venue. Our reception space was above and beyond what I wanted. The space was so massive, and I loved that feel. There was so much room for dancing. There was so much room for people to walk around, and the photo booth had its own area where people could line up without being cramped. And that was separate from the dance floor and separate from the food stations, and just everything felt like it had its own place. I also loved the outdoor spaces that we were able to use for our photos. Absolutely beautiful. Everything came out stunning, and they did a really great job on our rehearsal dinner as well. They also treated us so well throughout our stay and made us feel so incredibly special. Looking back, I'm so immensely grateful that we chose a hotel as our venue, because having everything all in one place and not having to worry about commuting or traffic or any of that was just so easy and so calming, and it was so nice to have everybody all together in one place. So I absolutely love that we had it at a hotel and would not change that for anything in the world. We also got to be on Disney property when we got married, even though it's not a Disney-owned hotel, and that meant the world to us. So definitely check them out if you're looking for a hotel venue in the Orlando area. But now that I've gushed about how much I love the Wyndham Bonnet Creek and all of the staff there for quite a while, I should also clarify we did not make our decision that day because we were still waiting to hear from Disney Fairy Tale Weddings. Our experience chatting with Disney Fairy Tale Weddings was one of the most disappointing things that I've ever experienced. After waiting 3 whole weeks to speak to someone, the representative answered the phone and said, "What questions do you have?" Like, that was the first thing they said. "What questions do you have?" So the other 2 tours that we took, and even the conversation that we had with the Four Seasons, though we didn't get a tour, was very, here is all of the information that we have related to planning weddings. Here are the different price points. Tell me about how many guests you're expecting to have. Tell me what you're thinking for food. Like, give me some idea and I will give you an estimate for what a cost looks like, right? There's a conversation, a back and forth, not, "Okay, so do you have any questions?" It was just a big turn off right off the bat as soon as she answered the phone, and I was like, okay. I had all sorts of questions. So I asked the questions that I did have based on all of the information I had and the research that I had done, and the cast member just kept giving me very short answers. I've got to say, I was really excited, and I'm pretty friendly and I love talking to cast members. So like, I don't know why my energy was being met with such a level of apathy. Like, I get that it's not your wedding, but you are a wedding consultant. So I would think that you would be willing to give a little more when it comes to talking about weddings, but I guess not. Okay. And not just talking about weddings at the most magical place on earth with a very hefty price tag, but okay. They also seemed incredibly hesitant about having a fully vegan menu and immediately started trying to talk me out of doing that. They also said we wouldn't be able to have our ceremony at any of our top choices or our reception at any of our top choices, and the only option that they had was that we could get married at Port Orleans and then have our reception at the Contemporary. Then they told me that Punzi couldn't be there. They were like, no, absolutely not, no dogs. And I was just like, I'm done. Punzi is part of our family. She's very important to us, very important to our relationship, and is just as important of a member of our family as anyone else. And so that was an automatic no. Like, Punzi was gonna be there, period. That's why we didn't have a Disney wedding. Unfortunately, because we waited to reserve the Bonnet Creek until after we talked to Disney, by the time we called to reserve the Bonnet Creek for our date, it was already taken. So we defaulted to the same weekend and decided on October 2nd. Funny spoiler alert, the couple that was gonna get married on October 1st canceled right after we ordered our invitations, and we could have gotten married on October 1st, but we had just ordered our invitations. So we got married on October 2nd, but we did end up getting to be the only wedding at the hotel that weekend, which was really awesome. And in the end, no regrets. We still had our rehearsal on October 1st and it was a great time. So now that we had chosen our date, our time, and our venue, let's talk about stationery. We really wanted to use our engagement photos for save the dates, as many couples do, but we also knew that we really wanted to have our engagement shoot in Walt Disney World. Masks were still required outdoors in Walt Disney World around the time that we needed to get moving on our save the dates. We eventually decided the time had come, we had to send out save the dates, so we had to figure something else out. So we chose one of our favorite photos from before COVID that actually Adam's best man had taken for us on a professional camera when he had been down visiting. Adam did some editing in Photoshop and they came out wonderful. We uploaded the image to Shutterfly to actually make the save the date, and they came out really great. I love our save the dates. We also made sure our wedding website was live before we sent out save the dates, because we did include our URL to our wedding website on the card, so we wanted to make sure that was active for anyone who decided to visit it. We sent out our actual invitations 2 months before the wedding. We used a wisteria colored card with gold foil. I think they came out really beautiful. And then we included little reminder cards for RSVPs, which we ordered from Zazzle. We didn't want to do paper RSVPs. We did all of our RSVPs through our website on Minted. So we just put in a little card to remind people where they could go to RSVP. The first week of September, we had a finalized guest list of 82 people with 123 initially invited. We were estimating 80 from the beginning, so it all worked out. Other than deciding the date, time, and venue, the next thing we decided was our bridal party. Our goddaughter Ava was going to be our flower girl, and we knew that both of our nephews would be ring bearers. That was all settled, and we knew that long before we were engaged, so that part was easy. Narrowing down the rest of our bridal party, the adult part of our bridal party, was a bit more challenging because you don't want to leave anyone out. I only wanted people in our bridal party that I thought would be in our lives forever. Once we had our venue solidified and knew like how much space we would have at the altar, we were able to kind of narrow down how many people we wanted in our bridal party, which made it a little bit easier. So then we were able to solidify our bridal party choices and immediately got to work on our proposal boxes. So Adam and I both made boxes for our parties. Mine just had like a little candle, a little bottle of Moscato, because that was our new last name, a wine glass that I customized with their name and their title in the wedding party, a bath bomb, some face masks. I think that was it. But just like cute little things to ask them to be a bridesmaid. And then Adam had little lowball glasses that were customized with their name and their party title, like best man or groomsman or whatever. And then socks that they were gonna wear in the wedding. They all had a pair of Star Wars socks that they wore for the wedding, and a different grooming product. So somebody got cologne, somebody got beard oil, like just different things like that. And then a small liquor of choice based on the groomsmen. So like Doug got tequila, like whatever their drink of choice is. And we used those to ask everyone to be in our bridal party. Standing on my side, we had Holly, our maid of honor, Joanna, who's one of my best friends that has been a coworker of mine for a really long time and turned very quickly into one of my closest friends, Adam's sister Jessica, my friend Courtney, who has been my best friend since 8th grade, and then our friend Michaela, who I've known since I was 18. Her and I became friends the week before Adam and I started dating, and she's just been an instrumental part of our lives pretty much ever since. So that was my side of the lineup. Adam's side, his best man was his best friend Brian. Then our best friend Doug was right behind him. And then finishing out the rest of the line was Adam's brother Matt and his friends Tim and Ethan. So we had 5 on each side, plus 2 ring bearers and a flower girl. When it came time to make our seating chart, we chose to use our favorite Disney attractions for our table numbers, and then we used fast passes as escort cards, as many Disney fans do. Our sweetheart table was Happily Ever After. Our family table was Fantasmic. Our bridal party table was Wishes. Then we also had tables for Big Thunder Mountain, Haunted Mansion, the Matterhorn, Space Mountain, Test Track, Midway Mania, Mickey's Fun Wheel, Carousel of Progress, It's a Small World, and Radiator Springs Racers. Adam used Photoshop to make all of the fast passes. We printed everything at our local Staples and then cut them out using like an X-Acto situation, and then we had all of our escort cards. Now, moving on to maybe one of the most important parts of a wedding, food, cake, and drinks. As I've mentioned, for food, we decided on a fully vegan menu because Adam is vegan, and we thought it was important that he should be able to eat anything at our wedding that he wanted. Similarly, we left out a lot of ingredients that I don't eat so that I could eat whatever I wanted at our wedding too. We sent emails back and forth with Francesca for quite a few months leading up to our menu tasting with different things that we like to eat at home so that she could come up with different ways of elevating them for our wedding menu. We wanted a fully vegan menu that did not seem vegan at all. Like, I didn't want to see tofu anywhere on our menu. I didn't want to see tempeh anywhere on our menu. Like, no, that was not something we were interested in because we knew people would be turned off by that. And also, I don't eat tofu. I don't eat tempeh. Like, I needed things that I would also eat. We had our menu tasting and everything was absolutely incredible. We enjoyed all of it so much. Even me being a picky eater, there were things that I didn't love, but that I was still willing to eat. So it was really great. They did a wonderful job. For our cocktail hour appetizers, we had an Impossible meatball with a red pepper sauce and vegan Parmesan on top. That was, I think, my favorite thing that we ate at our wedding at all. I was obsessed with this meatball. It was so good. We also had a beet ceviche. So they took golden beets and red beets and put it on like a little chip, and that was delicious. And then we had a roasted vegetable skewer, which was like parsnips and sweet potato and things like that on a little skewer with seasoning, and it was very good as well. Then for our main dishes, we decided to kind of go with like a food and wine type vibe since it was autumn. So we had a Mexican station, an Asian station, and an Italian station. Our Mexican station had Impossible tacos with like vegetables and stuff for toppings and crunchy or soft shells for the taco itself. And then we had chips and guac and chips and salsa. The Italian station had Caesar salad, a lemon garlic caper pasta, and then an Impossible bolognese. And then the Asian station had tempura fried veggies with like a dill sauce, which were absolutely delicious, and jasmine rice and a chickpea curry. When it came to dessert, Bonnet Creek had a baker that they typically used for cakes that was part of our package, but the only vegan flavors they had were chocolate or vanilla. And so we decided to go with a favorite bakery of ours, which is Valhalla Bakery in downtown Orlando, if you're familiar. I'm so happy that we chose them. I will say getting in contact with them was incredibly stressful because they are so popular and so busy. So that's my main complaint about Valhalla, is it was impossible to get in contact with them. And even when we would try to go into the bakery to talk to someone, they're like, they're not here right now. You have to call and leave a message, or you have to send an email. And then it would take weeks for someone to get back to me with an email. But all of the dessert they provided was delicious. They're a local vegan business. We love supporting them. So super happy that they did our desserts for the wedding. For our cake, we had a 3-tier cake with like a purple ombre frosting. The top smallest tier was lemon with a raspberry filling. The middle tier was chocolate with a raspberry filling, and the bottom tier was chocolate with a chocolate filling. And then we also had cupcakes in vanilla and funfetti and chocolate flavors in case someone wanted something different. And then we also had chocolate chunk cookies and kitchen sink cookies. And that was it for dessert and food. When it came to drinks, we did have an open bar. For our cocktail hour, we had our 2 signature cocktails. My drink was called the Lost Princess, and it was Malibu coconut rum with pineapple juice and a purple sugar rim. And then Adam's drink was called the Smolder, and it was a blueberry mojito. And then we also had a selection of beer, wine, and liquor throughout the evening as well. And then we had a champagne toast. Lots of alcohol options in addition to all the food. Now let's talk about flowers. For florists, we had narrowed it down to 2 different places. One of them, I can't remember their name, but Adam's mom and I went to her apartment in downtown Orlando, and we met in her conference room, and she ran us through all the numbers. It was gonna be quite expensive. She was really nice. Then we went to Petals by Design Orlando, and they're definitely up there in terms of our vendor list of people that I would recommend. We sat down with Brittany there, and she explained to us that they largely specialize in corporate events, but they really enjoy doing weddings. So they take on weddings as a passion project, but because they are largely funded by corporate events, they are able to be a little more affordable when it comes to weddings. Also, because they do so many corporate events, they have a lot of different decor and things that different companies ordered for an event but didn't actually want to like keep long term. So they had all sorts of different lanterns and vases and votives and candles and all sorts of different things that she let us go into their warehouse and be like, I like that, I don't like that, I would love to use that. And she incorporated all of that into her package at a very small rental fee. It was by far the most reasonable florist that we found, and I think all of our flowers came out beautiful, plus we got all the additional decor that we didn't end up having to purchase, which was wonderful. Adam and I had decided a long time ago we didn't want a ton of flowers because they're so expensive and it's not like you get to keep them really afterwards. And we're not really flower people. So we knew we wanted enough that it looked nice, but we didn't want to go overboard. We ended up with small arrangements of centerpieces on all the tables, a gold hoop that was behind us at our ceremony that had some flowers on it that also moved behind our sweetheart table for the reception, my bouquet, all of our bridesmaid bouquets, a bag of petals for our flower girl, boutonnieres for all the guys, and 2 large arrangements that went at the end of the aisle for the ceremony. And that was it. And it was perfect for us. On to one of the things I cared the most about, and that was attire and hair and makeup. We went shopping for my dress at the end of January, and we went to David's Bridal. We ended up going to David's Bridal because January was still quite a peak time of the pandemic, and a lot of local bridal shops would only let me bring 2 people with me. I'm so glad we went with David's Bridal because they had my dream dress. While I was looking online to see if there would be anything I was interested in at David's Bridal, I stumbled across it, and I was like, oh my God, I love this dress. It was the first dress I tried on. I fell in love with it. I still tried on other dresses, but I did not really love any of them. And I don't think I would have left with a wedding dress that day if they didn't have the one that I chose. And I tried it on one more time and I was like, I'm obsessed, I'm in love. It did completely change my vibe as a bride because I really wanted more of a like ethereal boho garden princess kind of thing. And I wanted to wear a flower crown instead of a veil, I thought. And like, again, long sleeves, but they had me try on a flower crown with this dress and I was like, okay, no, it doesn't work. I adore my dress. I would wear it all the time if I could. And yeah, it was just perfect for me. I got so many compliments on it and I just adored it. For shoes, I wore rose gold sparkly block heels down the aisle and for photos. And I got them on Amazon for like $30. And then I switched into sparkly ivory Kate Spade Keds for the reception. Highly recommend. It was just the perfect choice for me. When it came to bridesmaids dresses, I looked at a few different websites. JJ's House, Kennedy Blue, and then Azazie, I don't know how you say it. I ended up going with Azazie because that is what Holly had used for her wedding. So I had already gotten a bridesmaid's dress from there. And I thought the quality was pretty good. The color was pretty true to what it was on the website. So I decided to go with them. I knew I wanted floor-length dresses and in the color Wisteria. So I built a showroom on their website and went through all of their bridesmaids dresses that met that criteria. And then I moved any of the ones that I liked into a showroom and sent all of my bridesmaids a link to that showroom and told them they could pick whichever dress they wanted. So they ended up having about 20 options and were able to pick whatever they wanted from that. And then I picked out a pair of like dressy, nude or blush looking sandals, and that was it when it came to their attire. So pretty simple. For Adam's attire, he needed a vegan suit because, as I did not know, most suits are made of wool, which is not vegan. So he searched the internet and found a company called Hangrr that makes vegan suits. So he ordered his suit custom from there. It was navy, and then he got a white shirt from there as well, and we were all set. The groomsmen ordered their pants and shirt from that same company as well. Everyone also got matching suspenders from Amazon, as well as brown vegan leather boots from Amazon. And then all of their ties came from the same website that I got the bridesmaids dresses from because they came in the same shade. The ring bearers got regular white button-down shirts and navy blue pants. And then we couldn't find shoes that matched the adult guys in their size that even came close. So we had them wear white Converse high tops. For our flower girl, I really struggled because I really didn't want her to wear white. Realistically though, I wanted her in the same color as my bridesmaids. I tried to color match as best I could on Amazon, but it really wasn't successful. So I ended up finding a blush colored dress on Amazon, like had sequins on the top and then was crisscrossed in the back. And since blush was one of our other colors, it was just a way to pull that into the ceremony. That was the best I could do. I really liked her dress though, and I thought it was super cute, so it worked out. Something else I really struggled with was hair and makeup. I wanted my makeup on my wedding day to look amazing, and I looked through a lot of the vendors on Wedding Wire and was like, there is no way that person is doing my makeup. Like, I just would look at the example photos and was like, this is not the vibe. So I asked our venue for recommendations, and they referred us to our hair and makeup vendor who did an amazing job. I've never felt so beautiful in my entire life, so I really think they did just the best job, and I'm so happy that we went with them. I wanted bold eyebrows, I wanted bold eyeliner, I wanted bold eyelashes, I wanted matte lips, and then for my hair, I knew I wanted something Rapunzel-esque, but I didn't know if they could pull it off without extensions, and they really played around with my hair day of because I didn't do a trial to get it just right. Very highly recommend them. They were great. Now let's talk music. Our friend Richard introduced us to our DJ. We used Junction 88 and they did an amazing job. Again, very much recommend them. One of our favorite vendors for sure. They did such a great job working with us on choosing music selections, and they also provided our photo booth and all of our uplighting. And they did our music for our ceremony, our reception, and our cocktail hour. I wanted a lot of control over the music, and Junction 88 did a great job of just complying with what I asked for, which I really appreciated. I made playlists for all the different parts of our wedding. For pre-ceremony music, when people were finding their seats, I made a playlist of string quartet covers of our favorite Disney songs. Adam and his groomsmen entered to a string quartet cover of Go the Distance from Hercules. My bridesmaids entered to Waiting for the Lights from Tangled. I walked down the aisle to I See the Light, but the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra cover of it, and then we exited to Kingdom Celebration from Tangled. For cocktail hour, I made a playlist of our favorite film score. So this included like actual Disney songs like Lost in the Woods from Frozen 2 and Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas, but it also included instrumental film score like He's a Pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean. It was a great way to incorporate songs that meant a lot to us, but that didn't really make sense to play during our reception. We were introduced into our reception to Hooked on a Feeling from the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. Our first dance was a bit of a toss-up for a while. We had narrowed it down to Everything Has Changed by Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift, Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran, and Lover by Taylor Swift. Do you see a theme? Everything Has Changed came out very shortly after Adam and I started dating, and the album Red means a lot to our relationship, and we're both very big Ed Sheeran fans. I'm obviously a huge Taylor fan, but Adam really loves Taylor too, so that was a pretty good choice. Thinking Out Loud we absolutely loved, but it's just used so frequently. Lover is one of my top 3 Taylor Swift songs. I absolutely love it. I really wanted it as our first dance song, but I didn't think that Adam would want it, and when I brought it up, he was like, no, I actually really love that. I think it's a good fit. And so that's what we decided on, and that was our first dance, and it was perfect. I also made a playlist for our dinner music because we have a lot of favorite songs, but they're not all upbeat and good for a reception, but I wanted to make sure they were included. So some of the songs on this playlist were I Believe by the Jonas Brothers, Rose of Sharon by Mumford & Sons, and Adore You by Harry Styles. So like that kind of like mid-tempo vibe that like people were not going to be jumping around dancing to, but that I still really wanted to be incorporated into our day. When it came time for the actual party, our music was mostly chosen by our guests. So when guests submitted their RSVP on our wedding website, there was a field for them to select a song that they would dance to. Adam and I screened all of those songs as the RSVPs came in, and if it was a song that we thought worked for our reception, we uploaded it to our DJ's website because they had like a request section, and they played as many of them as they were able to. I think we had a bomb party. I think everybody had a really good time. And then our last song of the night was Happily Ever After, and it was the most glorious last song choice to be dancing with my new husband and being surrounded by all our best friends and just capping off the night that way was really wonderful. And that is how we went through our music selection for the wedding. And finally, the last wedding planning category I have to talk about is photography. Photography was the biggest struggle for me. When I talk about how I felt picking out a makeup artist, it was very similar. Like I would go through on Wedding Wire, I would go through different people's galleries, and I was like, this is not the kind of photos I want for my wedding. These don't look good. These are not it. I also felt pretty passionate about not hiring a photography company. Like I didn't want a company that employed a bunch of photographers and was just gonna send someone. I wanted to hire someone who independently has their own photography business. I found Olivia Caine Photography and instantly was like, this is the right one. As soon as I found her, I wanted her to be our photographer. I showed Adam, he loved it. I sent it to Adam's mom, she loved her. And we had our phone consultation with her. She was amazing. We clicked right away. We had our engagement shoot with her and we were so comfortable with her. She was so great at directing us and she got so many cute shots for our engagement shoot. And I couldn't wait for her to shoot our wedding. Unfortunately, about 2 months before our wedding, when she sent us all of our final engagement photo gallery, she told us that she was in the UK and due to a family emergency, she would not be making it back to the United States in time for our wedding, and we needed to find a new photographer. She ended up referring us to her friend Rania, who was available for our date and had a similar photography style. I think she did a really great job. It all worked out. So totally fine. I just wish that we had been able to stick with the same person for our engagement shoot and our actual wedding. That being said, both excellent photographers, would hire either of them again, and I will link all their stuff in the description below. That was a whirlwind, and that summed up an entire year of planning a wedding. I am sure by this point this video is ungodly long, so I'm so sorry. But I really wanted to just kind of go through all of the things that it took to plan this wedding. And this isn't even everything. Like, if you think about it, there were still a bunch of orders from Amazon for different decorations. Adam's mom bought a bunch of different decorations. Tons of messages sent to different vendors to like inquire about different services that we didn't end up even meeting with. And I'm so thankful to everyone who helped us plan it and pull it off, because it was just so, so great. I will link all of the vendors that I recommended in the description below. This isn't like sponsored or anything. These are just all people that we worked with that I absolutely loved and would highly recommend using if you are planning a wedding or an event in the Orlando area. And that is the journey that it took to plan our perfect wedding. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like for me. It helps out so much. If you guys have any recommendations for future videos that you'd like to see, please leave them in the comments. I'm always looking for new ideas. And for more magical Disney and life content, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next Saturday. Bye!